Hello, my name is Deacon Darrell Freeman, and I am one of the facilitators of our weekly Life Application Bible Study class. Recently, we began a new lesson plan entitled, How to Build Your Life on God's Word. This new 6-week course will focus on topics such as why we need God's Word, how to hear God's Word, how to study God's Word, how to meditate on God's Word, and how to obey God's Word. And lastly, how to communicate God's Word. In our first class, we discussed why we need God's Word. Our biblical text was 2 Timothy chapter 3, verses 1 through 5 and 13 through 17. We broke out into small breakout rooms to identify things that should come with a set of instructions but don't. We had lively discussions and identified a wide array of things in our lives that don't come with instructions that should. Some of the things identified were how to care for our elderly parents. Also, how to be a good parent. And one last item was how to make sound life decisions. So, why do we need God's Word, you may ask? Well, first, we must recognize we live in a society and culture filled with spiritual anarchy. Most people do what is right in their own eyes rather than looking to any authoritative source to guide their actions. As believers, we can easily become confused by competing beliefs and behaviors. However, when we ground our lives on God's Word, we follow the Creator of the universe. That's why we need God's Word in our lives. While in a Roman prison, convicted of being a follower of Jesus Christ and facing his execution, Apostle Paul penned 2 Timothy to his protege, who is now pastoring the church, which they were both responsible for starting in Ephesus, which included both Jews and Greek believers. Paul sends encouragement and instructions on how to face the opposition that Timothy and other believers will face, who are self-centered false teachers whom Paul refers to as evildoers and imposters. Some of the major points that Paul brings out and shares with Timothy are knowing God's Word allows us to gain wisdom to avoid being sinful. Knowing God's Word also allows believers to gain spiritual maturity and equips us to be victorious. Lastly, knowing God's Word is profitable for believers to live in right relationship with God and to fulfill His purpose and plan for our lives. In essence, the Bible reveals everything we need to live victoriously. Let us all continue to seek to be grounded in God's authoritative Word so that we can live the victorious life that God has intended for us. Next week, our lesson is entitled, Hear God's Word. Won't you please plan to join us and even invite your friends and family to join in with us as well, as we seek to continue to build our lives on God's Word. May you be continually blessed by God and that you are kept in His favor.